I think part of it, then I wouldn't.
I think you do too. I think you do.
Can't concentrate.
And I apologize. I want to apologize for that.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, no, I think a space needs to be made for you too. Because I'll show you right here where it says. And then I'm going to bring up the fact that a lot of people's personal families and stuff are coming up. It says right here, exception, if city employees are meeting with other individuals, they can authorize those individuals to enter the restricted work area with those individuals. All visitors and contracted, and see, if PUD, here's my deal. If you're saying that PUD qualifies as a city employee and can drive the vehicles and all that, that means as an elected official, I am also a city employee and I am allowed to bring somebody in. As I said before, the only thing we were going to look at was the ordinances that hadn't been codified. There's some grants and programs at the state. I need to know how many are repeals of previous ordinances, things like that. That's what we were looking at, was the ordinances. I know that Barb has been invited back here and been back here a few times since I've been elected. Just today there was other citizens back here, and I don't have a problem. Yeah, exactly, honey. Please don't think I have a problem with it. I would just like it to be fair. That's it. I think it's great that she comes down and see. You're here all day. My kids come in at my office in the state and see me, but this is my problem. And so unless you're telling me that there is an ordinance or a policy that she cannot be here, that is discrimination, what you're doing.
We just need to have it clarified as to what...
There needs to be an ordinance or an official written policy, something, but you cannot say that it is not okay for her to be here. And I know that somebody called you and told y'all and that you came running, and that's fine.
I come in all the time.
That's fine. I do not care. I don't have a problem that, and I want to stress, I don't have a problem that Cherie's daughter was here. I don't have a problem that Charo's kids will stop by and see her. I don't have a problem, but what I have a problem is the fact that when I'm down here that you guys are trying to stand in my way of me trying to look at things and do the research that I need to do for things that are important to me and the citizens. And that's what I feel is happening here. I had asked Tracy to come and help me look through, because there are 3 books up there, and there is they've done what they can. And I asked for help, was told it was okay by previous people that have been in these offices, was told it was no big deal, read the sign and checked it. But then as soon as I'm down here and we're starting to do it, it becomes she needs to go. And so that's the problem, is that it's not fair and that you are treating certain citizens worse. Because this is not the first time that somebody has been told, oh, I can't be back there, but then so-and-so can. And that's not the way it should be here. It should be fair for everybody. And that's my problem here, is that this is not being fair. I don't mind it being restricted to everybody, but then it needs to be restricted to everybody. I don't mind it being open to the public, but then it needs to be open to the public. And if they can invite people, I should be allowed to invite people as well, because that was the whole insurance thing. PUD is considered a city employee, so he can work the equipment, he can ride in the vehicles. Any city elected official can. That makes me a city employee, which means therefore when I am looking at something that should already technically be codified on the website, ordinances should be public knowledge. We didn't last for any minutes. I had no intention of looking of anything that might have been considered private while I was here. I am minding my P's and Q's. I am trying to do it right. That's it. And now there's a quorum. Okay, now there's the thing. And now I feel like you guys are trying to prevent me from doing what I need to do. So are you going to stay and watch as well, or are you going to leave? Because if there's 3 of us and then I can't be in there talking about city business with anybody. There's a quorum. Please tell me what you're going to do, so I know how the rest of my day is going to go.
Okay. As far as your question about the quorum, all city officials can be together at one time as long as you're not discussing city business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? A party or whatever.
But people will come in here and see this.
If 3 of us or a quorum are together talking about city business.
No, you can come up, Jerry. I'll move.
You can go in the front.
I don't know why I have my finger now.
You can go in the front door. then that's a quorum, and we have to have we can't have a quorum if we're discussing city business. Okay?
So if I'm in there looking through stuff and you guys are like, what are you doing? And we end up discussing it, that would be a quorum, and that would be...
Two of us can discuss it. The three can.
And so what are you planning to do, Steve?
If you want to, I'd be glad to help you look through
I
something.
I had my help. I had my help that you told she wasn't welcome.
Okay.
When-
The point is, I'm glad to help because I have knowledge of it and I can speed things up and get you where you need to be. If you don't want my help, that's fine too. Now, as far as Tracy is not familiar with it, it'll take her longer to figure it out, and that's fine. It just needs to be clarified, okay? It hasn't been done that way in the past. And
But it has. Because previously when I was a citizen...
Council together.
You're welcome to put it... You want to put it on the agenda for the 13th?
That has to go through the mayor to put it on the agenda.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
Anything put on the agenda has to go through the mayor.
I would like to see that ordinance and policy as well. Because from what I understood, and I was allowed to put things on the agenda, I was told that any councilman, any alderman can ask for something to be added to the agenda to be discussed, such as Kevin Guffey has with things for BCBA and things like that. That's the way it was explained to me. The whole invited guest things, I was told that anyone could invite the guests to speak.
Okay, there's several different things there as well. You know, as far as putting it on the agenda, it's always, maybe it should be in writing, I don't know. But
I would say, is it not in writing?
In the past, anything put on the agenda is approved by the mayor.
Because when I came in and asked, nobody told me I needed approval, and I asked the thing, and I was told, no, you just tell me that's what we do. So...
Well, I don't know. It was that way when I was mayor too. Anything that, now, as an alderman, the other route you can go, other than putting it on the agenda, which if it's not put on the agenda, you can bring it up in a meeting as a motion or whatever to do something, and then it could be voted on in the meeting. So you can go that route too. Or you can add it to the agenda at that time, at the beginning of the meeting, under additions to the agenda. You know, maybe things need to be put more in writing, or in the past it just...
That's fine, as long as they're put in writing and everybody has to follow those rules, and that exceptions aren't made for certain people but not for others.
And in the past it hasn't been an issue, but to your point, maybe things need to be put in writing.
And I would be fine with that. Every rule that has been in writing, I have followed, I have been respectful of. I have gone out of my way to avoid this. But I feel like what you did was discriminatory against Tracy today. I feel like you did that strictly because of Tracy. When I know that other aldermen have brought in guests previously, and they've gone in the back and sat at the table and talked about things and come in and visited. Now, I am willing to say, I don't know if those were approved through the mayor, but that is not what this sign says. That is not what this sign says. In my opinion, it says if city employees are meeting with other individuals, they can authorize these individuals to enter the restricted work area with those individuals. City employees, do not even say the city mayor up here. It says elected officials, mayor, and council. So if the mayor is considered a city employee to ride in the work vehicles, therefore wouldn't I be one as well, also as an elected official bonded under the city? You can admit that's where it could be confusing.
Yeah,
and for you, and I have no problem with it not being allowed, but if it's not allowed, then no one else needs to be back there. It shouldn't be, okay, well, my kid shows up, so my kid gets to go back, which, again, I am fine with. I think it would be really unfair to restrict it. I have said when I run, I want more transparency. I want people should be able to access what's going on in our town. And I feel like the case of the matter is you just stood in the way of that, is how I feel. because you haven't been welcoming. You've accused me of being.
I haven't accused you of anything.
You accused me of Bell accountability.
I know.
You
said
laughed
I
with
did.
Mayor. You laughed with. Okay, we're gonna agree to disagree on this because I didn't come down here to fight. I came down here to look at the ordinances so I could plan my thing, so I could finish typing out, because I've started on things. I've started pointing out the way it used to be, and I just want to double look at some things. And I don't think I need your assistance. I appreciate the offer, but I don't think you need your assistance.
That's fine.
Well, I'm worried too that our talking will distract her.
I want to make sure that I offered because I'm willing to help. I'm willing to help the girls when they have, they have a question. I have a lot of knowledge, past history and stuff like that. So sometimes
Nobody's denying that.
I can shortcut things by knowing where.
Sometimes
to
a shortcut isn't the best way, and sometimes
I mean shortcut as far as
and new people need to learn how to look too.
finding the ordinance quickly versus wasting time trying to not knowing where to look.
Well, the books are labeled ordinance book 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3. The newest ones are in 3 of 3. There's an index the girls have got, so I feel that I'll be able to locate it relatively quickly.
Right. Sometimes, if you're okay, we're talking about two different things here. That's fine.
Yeah. No, I'm looking for like specific uncodifieds. I'm not looking for a ordinance code that has a mention of this. Okay. That's what I'm looking for.
To go back to the beginning, it probably would have been better to, even though it's probably not written any place that I know of, unless we get to where it is in writing, to go with what has been the way it's been handled in the past, that it's approved by the mayor.
Mm-hmm. I can see your point with that.
We need to change it. We need to change it.
But that is not the example you have been showing me. I have been invited by an alderman back here before. I have come back here before personally. I know other people have been invited here by an alderman. I have seen numerous times, I have come down and seen other people, and it's been said, oh, I'm here to see Cherie. I'm here to see Charo. I'm here. And so the example that has been set has not been what you want me to follow. And if it's not in writing, how am I supposed to know what to follow? There was no welcome packet like, hey, this is how we do things for me. I've been thrown in. You guys have threatened to have gag orders.
And I agree with what you're saying.
And so, you can't, I just want it to be fair and transparent. That's what I want. And this is not fair and transparent. This is your pun. I feel like you guys are trying to stop me from doing anything.
I don't want you to feel like that because it's not true. That may be your impression. We're just trying to follow the way it's been done in the past. And you cited other exceptions of other people, and I can't say I was aware of that other than I know family stops in, things like that. Mm-hmm. Just, that's another gray area because they're not conducting city of business, but
they can see computers. And let me get the door for you, hun.
Thank you.
And they can see private information on the computer when it's open in the back, so I understand that. But like I said, she wasn't looking at that. We had the ordinance books in front of us. We weren't looking through random folders. We were literally looking in the ordinances. That's it, which should be public knowledge. And I know that she's gotten to look through those books before. The question is of where she was sitting. That was the problem, of where she was sitting. Correct? That is the problem, correct? It wasn't that she was looking at the ordinance book. It was that she was sitting behind a big glass wall. Okay.
Rebecca, we just need to work through this. And it's going to take time. and I don't want you to be offended.
I am offended
Well, I don't
because
want
there
you-
was no, hey, what's going on? Why is she here? It was, she needs to go. There was no explanation of why. It was, you need to tell the person that you asked to come down and help you to leave. You don't get help.
And I explained that she wasn't supposed to be here because she wasn't authorized by the mayor. And I agree with what you're saying. If it's not in writing, then it should be.
And it's not the
That-
policy
that's-
everybody follows.
I guess it's been an unwritten policy.
I haven't been in here for years. I don't know those unwritten policies.
And I know, and I understand that. And that's what I said about we need to just work through things and figure it out. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. We need to figure it out.
So does the grace that you want only extend to y'all being given grace, or is there going to be grace given to me as well as I learn?
Well, I tried to include you in what we're doing. You know, I mentioned about the very first night. I mentioned about the groundbreaking thing, so you would know what, rather than wait for it to have to come out in the paper, things like that. I tried to include you. I welcomed you the first night, you know, and you know, I try to get, honestly, I try to get along with everybody, you know, and it may not seem that way, but and maybe I come off wrong with Tracy, you know, you know, I wasn't expecting, you know, but you know, that was just my reaction. She wasn't authorized by the mayor, and that was the policy has been in the past. Nothing needs to be in writing, it needs to be in writing. Okay? Please, let's just work through it, figure it out, and give us some time to work it out. You know, the way it should be, the way you want it to be, the way the council wants it to be. Okay?
Okay. So are you planning to stay, or are you leaving?
Well, you said you don't need me. I was coming in. I come in for other things all day long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean,
So did you specifically come in this time for me and Tracy?
I come in to see, like today, I already wrote up an ordinance.
For what?
On the connection fees,
Hmm.
the way it's worded in the past. We charged $100 for a sewer connection, and I think it was $250 for a water connection, and now it costs us more to do that than what the ordinance says.
Mm-hmm.
So I revised the ordinance. And again, not on my own. That was could ask me to do it.
I don't have a
To
problem.
revise, well, you asked me to revise the ordinance to where having a specific amount in there. It basically says whatever the current rate is what we can charge to make those connections. So we don't have to change the ordinance every time. Because right now we're going in the hole and make a connection. It's costing us more than what we're charging. So I did that today already. And that'll be on the agenda. So, you know, I come in and do things like that all the time.
That's,
I come in multiple times
I
a
don't,
week, but-
I don't have a problem with it. I didn't have a problem with Barb being here helping. I think that's great that she's still involved.
Volunteer.
Yeah,
She's authorized by the mayor to do it.
and that's great.
If the council votes and says no, then that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
They can vote on it, you know, the majority rules.
Mm-hmm.
She's not getting paid, she's volunteering. And
I think it's great. I don't want to limit the access.
she does things that girls don't necessarily have time to do.
No, I think it's great. I don't have a problem with everybody coming in, but if we're going to let people come in, other people, if we're going to let certain people be invited, everybody needs to be able to invite, or nobody needs to be invited. It either needs to be just city employees, just official approved on a list volunteers, or it needs to be, yeah, that's fine as long as you're not looking through anything private, and I respect the privacy laws. All we were looking at was the public ordinances, and not even any that had been drafted, just the ones that you had already passed that you said she couldn't look at with me and needed to leave.
We just respectfully, we need to have it clarified so So
Agreed.
so everybody knows, and if it needs to be in writing, you need to work that out. Like I said in the past, I haven't been a problem.
No, it hasn't. When other aldermen have invited people and had people back here and other city employees have, it hasn't been a problem. It seems to be a problem with me, though, on the very first person I invite.
Again, we don't have any kind of a packet saying this is the policies or unwritten policies, and you know, I guess we just haven't taken the time to put in writing. It's an understanding that goes back even before my time, you know. And things don't have to stay the same. They can change and can be improved. But it just needs to, if this is now, seems to be, could be an issue, then we need to address it.
Mm-hmm.
But things just take time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can't change everything in 1 month, but
No, I only asked for 3 things to be put on. I want to talk about the website and broadcasting. I want to talk about the audit because the last update we had was April of last year. And I was talking to and was told, are they locking up? Because if they're locking up, my purse and everything is in there.
I don't think they are.
Okay.
As far as the audit, I can kind of give you an update.
No, I want to get us back on a schedule. The last time I spoke to Jeanette told me that we did not have a contract with someone to perform the regular audits, that we had not solicited any bids or anything.
We have asked Kristen DeLuca, which is our auditor, for, I don't know if the word is a bid or a quote, one way or the other, ask her for a price or what another audit would be for coming up to, for, I guess it'd be 24 or 25. When Charles took over, let me give you some back history. When Charles took over, the audits hadn't been done. Okay, and you're aware of that. Well, the city's in the process of catching up. We've done 5 years. Yeah, 5 years worth of audits in 3 years. Okay. And Charles been in contact with Krista DeLuca. And by the way, you're not recording me, are you?
I am.
Okay. Well, you have to have my permission to record.
It's a public property. It's government property. There is no expectation of privacy. We're already being recorded. Missouri's a one-party state. It's just for mine. That way, if there were any more threats, like there have been about a gag order or something happening to me.
Do I sound threatening? No.
I have felt threatened by actions of the council
I haven't threatened
and things
you.
that have said
I've
and things that have been told
talked
to
on the
me.
phone. I haven't raised
Yeah.
my voice.
No, I'm just saying I have felt. So this is just for my protection.
Well, I don't feel like I should be recorded,
Okay.
you know, trying to explain things to you.
Okay. I'm going to keep recording. Are you okay then if I go back in, or are you planning to stay? Okay. My plan is to go back in and continue looking through the ordinances, especially because my keys are in there as well. So I at least need those. Do you guys lock up for lunch or something?
We're leaving for the day. We can't work like this. We're a nervous wreck.
I'm sorry.
shaking.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I need to shut my computer off. I got a lot.
I'm putting up and I'm going to let you guys leave because I am really sorry. It was not my intention for this to happen. I really just wanted to look at a few things. But I completely understand and if I had known there was a different policy, I would have followed that policy. But I am not being told things and I am being threatened. And
Who threatened you?
there have been threats of a gag order that they're going to do all they can to get me impeached and not include me in things. And so I just can't help but feel that way. So I apologize. Like I said, it really wasn't my intention to ruin your day. It really wasn't. I apologize to you as well. I'm sorry.
Okay, are we